I think Blizzard made much braver decisions on certain things. They didn't ask themselves the question, is this fun to do? Can we let mages just decurse, for example?
Yeah.
Nowadays in retail, everything has to be perfectly balanced. And if one class has a one-button rotation, people say that's boring. Or if a class only has to dispel, I think no one would play that class because people tend to say that's boring. But in Vanilla WoW, every class had such things, and on certain fights they had to do a certain job.
Yeah.
That was Vanilla. It's part of the charm of Vanilla.
Jaman, yeah, Jaman. I hope you like a Jaman too.
Welcome, one and all, to JhamanCast. This podcast is dedicated to celebrating video games and delivering video game interviews. I adore video games, and I love sharing that every week. Stick around, I think you'll have a good time. This week's interview is with someone who is a World of Warcraft YouTuber. He's appeared on other podcasts and shows around the Warcraft entertainment verse, and I was happy to have him on and join me, telling me about himself, about his experiences with World of Warcraft. He's Dunedain, and that interview is coming up hot. Before we get to all that, I want to inform you of a few ways that you can elevate your experience. I have a number of ways that you can join in and be a part of the show. I got a phone number. It's 949-407-9198. That's 949-407-9198. If there's any interesting calls, I'll put them in the show. You can call in, leave a message. I have a Discord server if you want to chat with me or other fans of the show. I'll put it in the show's description so you can join easily. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at JhamanTheShaman. I'm also on Twitch at twitch.tv/Jaman. With all that out of the way, let's get this podcast started. Hello everyone, welcome to another JhamanCast interview. Today I'm joined by another World of Warcraft player, content creator. He's a YouTuber and he's appeared on some of the other Warcraft-centric podcasts. I'm happy to have him on today. It's I didn't ask this before in our pre-interview stuff, but it's Dunedain?
People say Dunedain, but actually it's Dunedain.
Dunedain.
Yeah, that's how it's pronounced in the Lord of the Rings movies too. But I think it only gets pronounced like once in the 9-hour movie.
Oh wow,
so,
Dunedain.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Lord of the Rings. I'm learning now. Okay, all right, already learning things about you. Good. Well, thank you so much for being here, man. Thank you, Dunedain.
Thank you for inviting me. It's an honor to be on the show.
Well, awesome. I'm glad. Well, yeah. I to me, it's just a little show, and it's just nothing. It's great. And thank you so much. All right. So let me ask you the first question here. All right. Let me get to it before I get caught up and ask something else, which I've done before. What's the first game you ever played that left an impression on you?
Mm-hmm. It's kind of a hard question because there are multiple games, and if I think back to it, it's a little bit vague which was first. I guess the first one was probably on PlayStation. But the weird thing is it left an impression after a few years only. So I'm talking about Crash Team Racing.
Which is Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, that's basically a card game like Mario Kart,
yeah.
But then with Crash Bandicoot. And I always thought it was a better version of it. I think, but I can't really remember when it came out. I think it was when I was like 10 years, 12 years old, something like that.
Okay.
So at that time, it was just another game. But then later on, I kept on playing it. And older friends played it too, and new friends played it too. And we kept on playing it basically all the way up to today. And there was a release recently from Crash Team Racing on the PlayStation 4. So I bought that, played it a lot. Actually, I bought the PlayStation 4 just to play that game. So I guess you can say it left an impression on me.
Wow. Why was that game? That game just because your friends and your social group were so into it, and it was I guess it must have been one. I never played it. It's just like I would go play. Like in my head, I'm thinking like, well, I would just go play Mario Kart because Mario Kart's the better version. But I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, if there's a lot of battling going on between Mario Kart fans and Crash Team Racing fans, I guess.
Okay.
If you look at on the internet, people tend to say, but I'm a Crash Team Racing fan, so maybe I'm biased. But people tend to say that Crash Team Racing is the skilled version of Mario Kart, and Mario Kart is more like the party and fun version. But I think that skill part that really intrigued me a lot. There's a really high skill cap in Crash Team Racing. You can get really, really good if you can turbo slide in a certain way.
Okay.
And there were always those kind of world rankings on the internet.
Yeah.
The thing is, it was a PlayStation game, so you could basically put up any ranking you wanted anytime you wanted. But most of the times on those world ranking lists, I think they were valid times. And now on PlayStation 4, you can see the world ranking because it's online. So it's something you can strive for and get better and play with friends. It's also a game you can play with 4 people if you had the multi-tap, which we did a lot back in the day when we were younger. So actually, we just raced against each other. We didn't use weapons as much, just tried to get as good times as possible. We kept on playing. So we played it for so many hours, probably as much as maybe a little less than I played WoW, but really a ton of hours went into that game. So
I have the only other racing game I have played was the Sonic All Stars, I think it was. That's
basically the Sonic version of Mario Kart, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like a bunch of Sonic characters, and I forget who else. I think it was Sony All Star, or not. I can't remember. Anyway, so I played that one. That one was okay. But watching people because in Mario Kart you could download like their ghosts and watch the number 1 person in the world race on the course, and that's insane. Like watching those people. Can you do anything like that in Crash Team Racing, where you can actually view them and see their course path, what they did?
Well. You can, as far as I know, you cannot download any ghosts from anyone else, but you have the ghosts of yourself. So you can compare your best times with people who play in your account, your friends and stuff. There is a lot of Crash Team Racing on YouTube these days, so you can compare what they do with what you can do. But I'm not an expert in PlayStation 4 at all.
Okay.
So basically I just played that game on it, so I don't know if you can download it, but I don't think so.
I'm just amazed whenever I see the people that are up there, and I'm just like, oh, you have to do that little skip or that little jump, like you have to move your character like just to save half a second on every turn. Like there's
it's insanely competitive. But that's quite cool. I like those kind of games. So that's the first one.
Crash Team Racing is the first one. Is there any other games before we get to World of Warcraft? Because I know that's the big one.
Most definitely. The same group of friends that I kind of started playing Crash Team Racing competitively with also played a lot of Age of Empires. So first off, it was Age of Empires 2, but we played that casually, I would say.
Yeah.
There was not really the online interface as you have it today. So most people at first didn't even have internet connection, and then later on everyone got internet. But Age of Empires 2 wasn't there. You had to go on some kind of site from Ensemble Studios, I think it was called, and then that you had to make connection with other players, and it didn't really work that well. So we usually played it on LAN. Didn't play it that much, but soon after, I think, what time was that? Probably 2001, 2002. I think Age of Mythology came out, and we played that also many hours.
Okay.
Played it online a lot, and that's basically the first PC game I got into, which we also tried to play as competitive as possible. Tried to get in those top thousands of the world and stuff like that.
Did you ever make it?
Actually, yes.
You did?
In Age of Mythology, I did.
Age of Mythology, you were top 1,000 in the world. Wow.
Actually, I think, trying to remember, I think 29th is the highest I got.
29th? So you were like top 1,000, but it's actually 29th.
It sounds insane, and it actually isn't, because it's the thing is, when we played it was 2002, maybe 2003. I can't remember exactly when it was, but people didn't really play online games as much. So
Yeah.
it's not like today. I would never be able to get 29th of the world today. That's just insane. I would probably not even be able to get top 10,000 or whatever. There's just too many players. But back then the player base was way smaller. So
Okay.
it was way easier.
So there was 1,000 people playing, and then you were in the top 1,000.
I don't know how many people played it.
No, I was just
I don't know, maybe 50,000, something like that.
Okay, well, that's
Actually
still an insane achievement, I think. I mean, you could make your own
yeah.
game right now,
Oh.
and then you could be the number one in it. You could just never tell anybody about it, and then you could be number
I guess
one.
so. Things you didn't have like the Koreans or the Japanese, or it was just Europeans. So
Gotcha.
less competitive.
Isn't Age of Empires 4 coming out at some point soon?
Yes, I'm actually really hyped to play that.
Yeah.
But well, it was announced like 2 or 3 years ago, and the only thing we have now is one small trailer. So
Yeah.
I don't know when it will be released.
Is that the next big RTS that's on the horizon? I think it's Age of Empires 4.
I hope so. But I think in the Age of Empires series, Age of Empires 2 is still going strong.
Yeah, I've heard.
I don't really like it that much. It doesn't offer much differences in between civilizations. Age of Mythology was always my favorite there, but yeah, Age of Empires 3 was kind of fun, but no one plays it.
Yeah,
so...
I've been told Age of Empires 2 is the best version before, and I was like, I've never played. I think I've played 1 or 2 of them. I'm not sure which ones.
I guess Age of Empires 2 is the most balanced.
Okay, that would make sense. Okay.
Yeah.
But again, it's easy to balance something when you don't change anything, because it sounds like the races are all the same, or
yeah, they have a lot of similarities. I wouldn't say they are all the same, because they actually, I think right now they have like 50 different civilizations in there, and they all have subtle differences.
Okay.
So
it's
and they're
understood.
Yeah, but it's not basically villagers are villagers.
Yeah.
They're all kind of working the same.
That's right. I played it the other day. And they all have like one super unit kind of thing. Like
yes,
one
exactly.
Special unit. Yeah. Okay. Right. Now I'm remembering the Age of Empires. Okay.
Yeah. So
you played this on your parents' computer, on your computer?
At first,
okay.
Yes. At first, my parents' computer.
How was that? Trying to get your parents to give you time on your computer? On their computer?
Really hard. So after a while, I bought my own computer, but computers back then, they didn't really run games very smooth.
Right.
Even though Age of Empires Age of Mythology wasn't that hard to run, but still, it was laggy, and back then that was normal. If you play like that today, I guess you stop playing after 5 minutes because just annoying now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So
I tried to save up for my own computer.
So you had a nice social group for video games. That's awesome. And it was still very competitive.
Yeah. I think from the age of 12, we started playing with each other, playing competitively against each other and online. And we kept on doing that. Some of them still play. And I think a few of them will return if Age of Empires 4 comes out.
Wow.
So it will be nice to see.
So I guess you played Warcraft 3. Did you play Warcraft 2 at all, or any of the other RTSs, or did you straight jump right into World of Warcraft?
I never played Warcraft 2. I played Warcraft 3, but not really hardcore. So I was playing Age of Mythology back then, and many people in the Age of Mythology community, they talked about Warcraft 3. So I checked it out. I tried it a bit, but it never really got to me like Age of Mythology did.
Gotcha.
I didn't really like the micro style you had with the hero.
Yeah, you had to control a hero from the very beginning. You have to control a hero and
it's really centered around that hero
and gold. And,
I never really liked that. So you can say I basically jumped straight into World of Warcraft from Age of Empires and Age of Mythology.
Okay, so did you jump into classic World of Warcraft, vanilla World of Warcraft?
Yeah. One of the friends I was playing Age of Empires or Age of Mythology with, he told me about World of Warcraft and how it was basically a whole new type of game, right?
Yeah.
When I started playing my first game, that was on Game Boy, I suppose, and you had those linear levels you had to go through.
Yeah.
So Age of Empires and Age of Mythology were different in that you had the whole map that you could run over and explore, but that was from like top side down,
Right.
How do you call
The
that? Bird
isometric.
sides? Yes, exactly. So there was a rumor about the game where you had an open world and you could run into it and explore it. It sounded totally awesome and something I had never seen before. I always liked those kind of open maps you had in PlayStation games. Like, I don't know if you ever played Tony Hawk Pro Skater or something like that. You had those maps where you could just explore everything, kind of like an open level where it didn't have to go linear.
And as a single person, right? It's from the perspective of a single person, so it's
exactly.
a large, much larger area. So if you tried to do that from Age of Mythology, it would take you, I don't know how long it would take you to actually run across an entire map if it ever brought the camera down there. But again, I don't know how much there would be to actually see. But yeah, I could see that. Okay, so World of Warcraft has this exploration in it.
It has two things. It has the exploration where you have the entire world, super big, something you had never seen in any game before, and then also you have the social aspect where you're not alone. It's not a single player game, so
right.
You meet other people in that world, and that was something I never saw before. So when he told me about it, I felt like, okay, I should check out that game. So I bought it actually a day before or 2 days before him. Started playing. Had to switch servers after it because he started on a different server than I did. I didn't know how it worked back then. So yeah. And that's how we got into World of Warcraft. I think that was quite early, by the way, in the patch cycle. For Europe, I think I joined slightly before 1.4 hit.
Oh, wow. So you had the old talents and everything.
Yeah. That's one of the things I miss in Classic WoW a lot. So we can maybe go into that a little bit later.
Yeah, sure. What was your first class and race you made?
If I forget to do days where I played on a different server, then the first class was a human warrior.
Human warrior, okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of the most boring combo you can make, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess it is. It's the most basic. Yeah, just like I don't do any magic. I just hit things, and I'm a human. Yeah.
I would have won. I guess I would have made a Night Elf Hunter if I didn't make it 2 days before.
Okay.
So yeah, I had to switch servers, and I didn't feel like doing the entire same thing again that I did the weekend before that. So I made a new class and a new race, picked human.
Gotcha. Okay.
Warrior. Actually, because one of my friends picked a human warrior, and he said that was fun because you could wear basically all the armor you find.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, that's true.
And I thought, okay, that makes sense. So let's go human warrior.
Yeah, that's what's great about being a shaman, and it can be like, oh, I need that spell power piece. Oh, I need that attack power piece. Oh, I need that too, guys. I need that. I mean, hunters get the rap for it, but as a shaman, I get to do it with spell power as well. And nobody gets to. Nobody really complains, but again, I'm because I don't actually roll on stuff that I'm not going to use. But yeah, I could if I wanted to. I could be a shaman piece. That could be shaman gear, guys. Just so you know, you're welcome.
Everything is shaman gear.
Yeah, except for swords.
Like a hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're getting into Classic WoW. What happened? Tell me about the differences. Let's talk about that. What's different between Classic WoW and Vanilla WoW as we see it now?
So it's a lot. It's basically entirely different game right now for a multitude of reasons. First, it's not new anymore, so that's an obvious one.
Right.
You've seen everything before. The open world WoW effect that you had the first time you entered the world, and the idea of going into such a huge map. Today, many games have that, and we did play World of Warcraft before, so it's not something game changing at all. That's the first thing that changed, but there are also some real mechanical changes, if you put it like that.
Yeah.
Basically, the most important one, I suppose, is they started from the 1.12 base, while most of the vanilla WoW period was before the 1.12 base
Right.
patch instead of base. I mean, so to me personally, it doesn't feel the same as it was back then. Also because I quit Classic or vanilla WoW before 1.12 actually hit the shelves. So I played from 1.3 until I think it was 1.11. Then I had to go to the university and I just stopped playing WoW.
Okay.
So I actually quit before the 1.12 patch. And
Gotcha.
when I quit, some of the classes didn't have their talent revamp, if I remember correctly. Maybe they just did, but like Rogue was really late in the revamp. I think they just changed talents before I quit. But for example, when I started my warrior, it was before the warrior patch, so that means I had the old talents, and then at a certain point, new talents came in, and that changed a lot of things.
Yeah.
Also, when I played like mage alt character or paladin alt character, they changed a lot. Paladins in pre paladin patch, what they were doing in Molten Core, they were basically buffing every 5 minutes,
Right.
because you didn't have the other buffs.
Is it 10-minute buffs right now? Is that what they're on?
It's 15 minutes now.
This paladin blessings are 15 minutes?
Yeah, you
wow.
can. Yeah, so it's the greater blessing is 50 minutes. The small one is still 5 minutes.
Okay. I'm just realizing I didn't realize that, because I remember paladins complaining about it all the time, having to buff everybody and it falling off.
The thing is, you can complain about being the buffer, but
right,
you can also see it differently. You can also see it like it's a different role.
Yeah,
you're not a healer, but you're more like support. You buff people, you cleanse people, you throw a heal, you do some damage, you throw judgment.
Yeah.
And nowadays, as a paladin, you buff before the fight, and then all you do is spam Flash of Light and sometimes cleanse. So in a way, they took away some gameplay by changing the buffs and changing the balance and changing the specs.
Yeah.
Most people like it. I guess it was a good change in the end, but I would have liked to see the old paladin first, and then after a few phases, let's say in phase 3 or phase 4, they could have added the newer version of the paladin. You see,
right?
But I remember the paladin as the buff class. I don't really, in the first MC raid I did, I don't think many paladins were healing, actually. I think 1 or 2 maybe were, but there were definitely some red paladins who buffed up and just swing their weapon.
Are you still running with any red paladins?
Yes.
Yeah.
I like the nostalgia. So
gotcha.
So the guild we have, I try to make it as nostalgic as possible by allowing classes like Red Paladin to join.
I've seen some other people talk, and I've heard other I forget, I think it was on another podcast, they were talking about, no, we never ever let any paladin do anything other than heal, because that's all they were there for. No one thought about doing anything other than healing. The guy who was talking, I can't remember where it was. It must maybe a YouTube video. But nobody thought about it. Nobody thought like, oh, maybe we should try this red paladin tree. It was like, no, that's the leveling tree, or that's the trees were not designed to be used. They were just like, it was, you were a healer. Like
it changed a little bit. In the beginning of class, in the beginning of vanilla, I should say, nobody knew that. It changed over the course of vanilla. Paladins they slowly evolved into healers, and at a certain point, and everyone assumed they should be healing because they were changed to be healers. The tier sets were changed to be, well, the paladin tier sets not really, but most of the tier sets were changed to be role specific. Paladin is a different case here because the paladin tier set isn't really a good healing set, but The talent builds, indeed, they were changed, and one of the big talents that made Paladin a healer is what's its name? I think it's called Illumination, where you have critical when you critical strike with your heals, you get your mana back.
Okay.
That's one of the big ones.
Yeah.
Before the Paladin trees were more like Blessing of Kings, for example, was the 31 talent. I think it first was in Retribution, if I remember correctly.
so,
Then
yeah.
I think it changed to Protection, and then they put it way more up in the tree so everyone could access it. So trees were different. I think they were interesting. And if you look at how the first tier sets in the armor in vanilla was designed, I feel like the old talent trees, they suit Molten Core and they suit the first armor sets very well. And now in Classic, we have this kind of 1.12 mess where we have new items, new talent trees, but old traits, and the balance of the rates isn't really what it should be.
I have all the Alterac Valley gear, which is insane. It's so powerful.
Exactly. Yeah. So things like progressive itemization, those things, I kind of miss those in Classic WoW. So I guess they had to make certain starting point to not make it too confusing. But it would have been nice to see the actual development cycle again, especially because, like I said, I played it for, let's say, 2 years, 1.5 years, something like that, before I quit originally. And I played the biggest period I played it was with changing talents, changing mechanics, changing items. Was definitely a different experience.
The change is a big part of the game in your nostalgic mind, right?
But that's I understand that's just personal taste,
right?
I suppose. I guess the public doesn't really want all those changes. But I'm not entirely sure, actually. It would have been interesting.
I don't think the public knows what it wants.
Changes.
I don't think anybody knows what they want with Classic. I think everyone says they want something, but I think they just want to play a good game, and I think that's true. And that, like, retail for me is it's too fast paced. I feel like an old man saying that. Like, it's too much. I just like the pace of vanilla. I like the fact that I don't have to hit a button every global cooldown.
Totally understand that.
And I
totally agree.
I make decisions, especially in PvP as a shaman, with totems, and I'm making a choice. Like, who am I fighting right now? I'm fighting this class. Okay, I have 4 global cooldowns to drop all my totems. Against this class, I drop. I need poison cleansing totem because it's a rogue. Oh, I need a tremor totem down because it's a warrior or a priest, so they don't fear me. So hopefully that I can need grounding. But I have to make. So I have all these decisions to make. That in retail, I feel like, okay, how do I get my damage off as fast as possible?
Exactly.
I don't feel like I have that same, like, set up the fight and, like, get going and then, like, kind of see where it goes. Or maybe, I've never played retail at a high level either. So for PvP, and by retail I mean the current game.
Understood. But people tend to say in retail classes are more interesting, rotation is more interesting, and Classic is boring. You have to spam one button all over again. But I highly disagree on that. Just like you said, Classic has more like globals that you don't need to spend. In retail, if you miss a global, your DPS goes down, and in the end, it comes down to every class plays a certain rotation, and if you execute that rotation, your damage is good. If you don't execute it perfectly, your damage goes down. Basically, every class plays the same because every class has one or a different rotation. So the difference basically in retail is your buttons have a different color and you click buttons in a different order. But you don't really think about how am I going to set up this fight? When do I use this occasional spell or this occasional spell? And in vanilla, you really have you have much more time. It's slower paced. I got you. Yeah, I mean,
And they definitely changed the identity of what you're supposed to do with like
Yeah.
doing the raid bosses. Like here's the boss where the mages decurse. Like the mages like I just want to frostbolt all day. Like I don't think I don't know if retail has to that degree where all of a sudden you don't DPS this fight. You just use decurse. Like that's all you do. You don't get to.
I think Blizzard made much braver decisions on certain things. They didn't ask themselves the question, is this fun to do? Can we let mages just decurse, for example?
Yeah.
Nowadays in retail, everything has to be perfectly balanced. And if one class has a one-button rotation, well, people say that's boring. Or if a class only has to dispel, I think no one would play that class because people tend to say that's boring. But in Vanilla WoW, every class had such things, and on certain fights they had to do a certain job.
Yeah.
That was Vanilla. It's part of the charm of Vanilla.
So you're playing. What are you playing right now in Classic? I didn't ask that.
A Paladin.
You're playing a Paladin. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you definitely notice the difference between the buffs not being 5 minutes.
Yes. The thing is, back in Vanilla WoW, I played a warrior, and I always wanted to play a Paladin.
Okay.
So it back then, before I knew Paladins were just Flash of Light spammers, it felt to me that Paladins were improved warriors because they could deal damage with their weapon, swing two-handed weapon, have heavy armor,
Yeah.
and on top of all of that, they can also heal themselves.
Yeah.
So it just felt like the buffed warrior, and now everyone knows it isn't like that. Warriors deal much more damage,
Right.
and Paladins are basically just healers. But that idea of Paladin can do everything, but they can also heal instead of just doing damage and tanking, that was something I wanted to try and feel again in Vanilla.
Yeah.
In Classic, I mean. Also, I wanted to see the 5-minute buff thing. I wanted to play that Paladin with the 5-minute buffs in raids, and well, I can't because they went with patch 1.12. But I decided, I want to say I decided on Paladin before they made that announcement.
Okay.
I didn't really, but Paladin was always in my mind because of that. So, yeah.
I mean, hey, you might get a what is the shoot? What is their legendary weapon they got in Legion? We get the
Ashbringer.
The corrupted Ashbringer when Nax comes out.
Yeah.
Is that the hope, the dream?
I'm Holy Paladin, so.
Oh, okay.
The thing is, Hand of Ragnaros would be cool,
right,
to have.
Yeah.
And since I'm a guild leader, I could get Hand of Ragnaros. The problem is it doesn't want to drop. So
yeah,
I'm kind of unlucky on that part. But
I'm on the same boat with you. I've been waiting for it to drop and just sitting here every week like, I can't miss this week, because if this is the week that Hand of Ragnaros drops, I will be so mad for missing it. So I have to be there.
True. So Corrupted Ashbringer, I guess, far away in the future, maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to switch to Retribution, so I'm going to stay Holy.
Gotcha. I was thinking about it, the fact that you were mentioning you played for 2 years during all these changes and stuff in Classic, in Vanilla WoW. I think Classic's gonna last a year. Like Naxxramas will be out before August. Maybe will be after August.
I think so.
I don't know.
I hope it lasts at least 1.5 years.
Yeah.
I think it would be too fast if Nax already comes out in August.
Yeah, we got Blackwing Lair, and then I mean, if in 18 weeks, I assume, or so, or what? Not 18 weeks, would be like 8 or 9 weeks. We'd see ZG. I don't know when.
Yeah,
I don't know what they're playing
first.
And then we have Arathi Basin and ZG. And
AQ40 will take a while.
Okay, that's true. Yeah,
they can't really release it too quickly, and because you need time to clear BWL and farm it a little bit.
Yeah.
And then if they release it, it doesn't open immediately. So you have the gates and the resources and all that stuff. I guess they will open faster than they did in Vanilla because people know what to gather. But it will still take a while. At least a week, but I suppose a few weeks, maybe a month. to make the gates open, and then you have the raid, and it's supposed to be a really, really hard raid too. So I think it will be at least 1.5 years before we get to next.
Okay. All right. So you think after at least like next January we could be looking at next? Maybe, I don't know. I'm just spitballing complete guesses.
I guess that would be reasonable.
Yeah. What's your guys playing for Blackwing Lair? Are you guys all attuned already? What's going on there?
Yeah, I think everyone is attuned, or almost everyone is. Wasn't really hard, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to it. Molten Core is a little bit too easy. It's nice to raid together, be with guilds, just have a laugh, talk a little bit, and hopefully get some piece of gear. But it's really just too easy, so that's kind of sad. And I hope Blackwing Lair is a little bit harder.
Have you had any loot drama happen?
No, not really.
No.
But there's always minor loot drama, but
yeah.
There was nothing major so far.
Man. You are missing out, because we are having like every week for my guild we have some kind of loot drama. It's not a good sign, but okay, let's keep going.
We use the DKP system, so it's
DKP.
There
okay.
can only be so much drama. If you don't have the DKP, you don't get the loot.
Yeah, ours is a roll system, so like if you roll, you get the loot, whoever wins the roll. But if you win a piece, you get minus 45 for your next rolls for the rest of the raid.
Oh, I see.
And then if you win 2 pieces, it's minus 90. So you'd have to roll 100, and everybody else would have to roll, below 10 for you to get a piece again.
Yeah.
But we had one,
we had
one
the
guy.
DKP system is.
I'll just talk about it. I'll just talk about it now since I've brought it up. And he hasn't rolled on anything. We just found out yesterday. He's rolled on nothing this entire time. He's a rogue because he didn't want to get minus 45 and then the weapon to drop, and then he would have minus 45 for the weapon. So he's been scared of rolling on anything because he doesn't want the weapon to drop and then to lose the minus 45. So it's been like weeks where gear has dropped. So what happened is today or yesterday, shoulders dropped for rogues and no rogues rolled on it. And we were like, wait, nobody needs this? And then all the rogues mentioned who needed it. They said, no, this guy needs it. He needs it. And they were like, well, why isn't he rolling on it? And they're like, he never rolls on anything. Because he's waiting for a weapon.
The same thing happens with DKP too, though.
Yeah. So people are really upset.
Yeah.
They don't like it.
People tend to hoard DKP to get that one weapon. If it finally drops and they have the highest, then boom, all their DKP goes there, and they win the weapon, and then they can start gathering the tier sets, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's good though. I mean, they get the item, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
What so you're playing Holy Paladin, you're healing. What are your you're bringing rep paladins to your raid? How's that going? Do people are they doing okay on their DPS meters?
To be totally honest, not really, but that's to be expected.
Yeah.
So we have 2 red paladins, we have a boomkin, we have a shadow priest, we have a feral.
Boomkin. Wow.
Yeah, we have a cat feral druid and a bear tank. So we have everything except for a protection paladin.
Yeah.
So the thing is, one of the ideas of the guild was to give a place to every spec. So if people want to join as a red paladin, they were welcome, and we would get a certain raid spot. We don't bring too many of those meme specs, if you want to call them,
right,
like that. Usually we have like 4 of them in the raid. We never have more than 5 because we just have 5 of those in the entire guild. And well, usually we bench 1, so the DPS isn't too low. But honestly, I think if you bring like 20 boomkins, you can still clear Molten Core in a reasonable time.
All that spell crit.
Yeah, that, but also it's just really easy at the moment.
Yeah, it is. It is really simple. Like I've noticed that it doesn't really matter how much damage we do, as long as we stay alive, the boss will die. Like, because there's no like enrage timers really, or are there any enrage timers? I don't even know. Because Everything
there
dies so
are.
fast anyway. So
True. You never get to that point. But yeah, that's how it is, I suppose.
yeah, I was looking at patchwork DPS, like what you need for patchwork, and I forget. I wish I knew it right now off the top of my head, but there was a set number I said we were talking about, and we are like, well, we're doing that now. Like we're pretty close to that now as a guild. Like if we increase our DPS by like each person increases their DPS by like 10 or 20 each person, like we'll be at patchwork DPS. Like,
Mhm.
and
The
that
thing is,
sounds insane to me.
in vanilla WoW, our guild, and I think many guilds, because the guild I was in was a pretty decent guild back then, we did not use any world buffs. We did not use consumables. The only thing I used was every now and then I used a health potion, and that's really it. And maybe an alchemist here and there. He used the elixirs or maybe a flask that he made because he was an alchemist. But world buffs, nobody even knew about it. So same for food, like food that gives stats and stuff. Maybe one or two cooks in the guild who actually made food for themselves. Maybe they used it, but that was about it. So if you take all those buffs away, it starts to get already a little bit harder. If you then, but you're talking about patchwork, so that's next Rammus, right?
Right.
I was going to say if you change the talents back to the old ones and the balance to the old balance and the items to the old items, but that doesn't make sense because next was latest patch. So I guess it's just about the buffs and people learned.
And there, you know exactly what item you're looking for the bet, because no one was wearing epics. Or I remember seeing a person in epics and being like, "Oh, he's got an epic! Like that's insane!" Like
exactly, and also. Our paladins, for example, in vanilla WoW, they did want to get the tier 1 set and then the tier 2 set, and now it turns out that those sets are not really good for healing.
Yeah,
back then you thought, okay, if that's a paladin set, I guess it's good for healing.
Yeah,
so let's go with that one.
What? How many people are in a DPS and as a guild leader? Because I don't really pay attention. I know it's like 20 to 25 DPS in a raid.
Yeah, we have slightly more. I think we usually went with 10 healers, which is on the high side.
Okay.
Sometimes we take 8 or 9 healers, but usually we go with 10. And then usually we have 3 tanks, sometimes 2, sometimes 4. So let's say we have 3 tanks on average and 10 healers, and you have 27 DPS left.
Okay. So if we had 27 DPS, it's according to WoW Wiki, it takes 9,500 DPS for your whole raid. So each person would have to be doing 351 DPS with 27 DPS. Okay, so that's a lot. Actually, it's a lot higher than I thought it was. We're not doing. I don't know.
350, you say?
351 DPS from each person. Yeah, for 27 people.
Picture of the damage meters from yesterday. I think we have that already.
Yeah.
The top damage dealers have 670.
Oh, Jesus.
So
yeah. I think I'm hitting 351 as an enhancement shaman. I think that's. Yeah. So if you have 27 players, you need each person to hit 351 DPS. I don't know how many people you need. I think is it 2 tanks? I can't remember. There's 40. It's 40 people. So.
For patchwork, you say? I don't know. I never went into next Rammus, so that's something I'm looking forward to. To explore it a little bit.
I think it's maybe it's just the main tank and healers. That's probably a real big check too. Not just that. The fact that he hits hard.
I'm just checking the red paladin. This is, by the way, damage from trash mobs and bosses together, so it's the entire raid. But the damage meter says he has 414 DPS. So that's decent, right?
Yeah. So if you had 27 people DPSing patchwork, you'd only need 350 DPS from each person.
So you can do it with all red paladins.
If he's doing that much damage, yeah.
With molten core gear.
I'm thinking Golemag is probably the closest to patchwork, because you just stand there and attack him the whole time.
I'm hoping that number is wrong, honestly. Otherwise, it will be a cakewalk.
Yeah, it says the DPS for patchwork is he has 3,850,000 HP, and he has a 7-minute enrage timer. So your raid needs to do a 9,500 damage per second minimum to kill him in time.
Yeah.
Of course, that's also a 7-minute enrage timer. So a lot of at 7 minutes, a lot of classes, paladins included, are going to run out of mana.
That's true. That's true.
The Molten Core,
yeah.
our DPS, we're not doing. These fights are so short; they're not 7 minutes long. So you're not having to worry about mana consumables and your healers running out of mana and your all the gear. You have to change your gear around so much for that. So, we still have time to see if this matters. Yeah.
The thing is, I kind of hope that Blizzard buffs the rates a little bit. Like if Blackwing Lair is as easy as Molten Core is, then that's just bad for the game, I think.
I think it will be. I think people are overestimating how hard Molten. I think the mechanics are going to be different, so learning the fights will be a little bit of a challenge. But once you learn the fights, I don't think it's going to be. Honestly, I just from what I've heard from everybody talking about how like when I remember when Ubers came out, when we got to Ubers finally, and I saw the first streamers getting to Ubers, and they were like, they had gone through private server experience, and they were just like, why is this so easy? We're in greens and blues. And then like they were just clearing it. I think we're going to see something similar, especially with how much gear, how many Hand of Ragnaroses I've seen, how many Bone Reaver's Edges, how many of these insane weapons, Perdition's Blades I've seen just running around. I gotta imagine we're going to see Blackwing Lair cleared really easily.
I fear the same. So yeah, I hope they buff it. I hope they learned a little bit from Molten Core.
Yeah.
Because they could have buffed Molten Core and told everyone it's 1.12 values and nobody would have known it. I think that would have been better for the game, honestly. So I hope they'll learn from it. And
well, they just announced today
WL.
There was the Juju buff that increases your attack speed. It also lowers your damage so that you do the same DPS, but you attack faster, but you do the same DPS. It's a bug in the game. And they said, well, the bug was in the game back in vanilla. We didn't fix it till Burning Crusade, so we're leaving that bug. So the Juju attack speed buff is basically not a buff at all. It just makes you attack faster, which is okay for some procs and on-hit stuff, but it doesn't actually increase your DPS.
They go a little bit too far within the no changes part there.
Yeah. But they've changed things already, so I don't understand why they would not change like little things like that.
I know. It's one of the big mysteries of Classic WoW.
Yeah. It just seems like someone's like, well, that would take work. And they're like, they're fine.
I hope that's not the case, but it definitely feels like that. So, yeah.
Hey, J. Allen Breck, are we allowed to change this? And he's like, is it retail? No. Don't worry about it.
I really hope it's not like that, but I got to admit it really feels like it.
That's my terrible J. Allen Breck impersonation, by the way. Why? I don't know. All right, so what do you want from Classic WoW after Naxxramas? Do you want Burning Crusade? Do you want to see what do you want to see after Nax?
I guess I want to see the Burning Crusade, but I would be happy with both. So whatever they decide, as long as there's something, I'll be happy. If something means we just start over in phase 1 and go through it all again, that's fine too.
Yeah.
As long as it's fresh, it's fine.
Right. I agree.
The thing is, the Burning Crusade is something I wanted to replay on private servers, and I never got to do that because I didn't find a good private server. I probably didn't look hard enough.
Okay.
But, I want to see it again, and I feel like Blizzard is in the best place to bring it out again.
Isn't that funny?
So,
isn't that funny that we don't trust Blizzard to release their own game that they've already released?
Yeah, the same problems though. Which patch do they start from?
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking that too. Do they start with the Sunwell patch and then just leave Sunwell locked off? And then you have all those changes that happen throughout all of Burning Crusade. And you're just like, it's just insane. Oh, man. Yeah,
it's a little bit strange, isn't it? If you would say we re-release, let's say, Legion, for example.
Yeah.
If they would re-release it with the nerfed traits from the start, people would say, "What the fuck are you doing? Why do you re-release it with the nerfed rates? Why don't you start with the hard rates and then nerf them later on?" And if they do that with vanilla WoW, with classic WoW, nobody says something about it. It's basically the same thing. They release it with nerfed Molten Core and nerfed Blackwing Glare. Not because they nerfed the bosses per se. They did on a few bosses, but basically because they buffed the gear. But it's the same thing in the end. So it's a little bit strange. So I hope in the Burning Crusade at least they start from the beginning. If they ever release it, of course.
I don't know if they will. They might, because I know that they did 1.12 client because listen, I think this is true, and I don't know. There was it was with Omar and Brian. I can't remember his name now. I know Omar Gonzalez and the guys who
Brian Adams.
Is it Adams, the lead of Classic?
I think it is
the lead engineer. They talked about getting to the 1.12 client and how much of a challenge that was to get back to the 1.12 client. And they said they didn't have a full reference. They didn't have a full reference when they first started. They had to go find somebody who had copied the game and put it on an old hard drive, and he had it in his house or home or storage unit or something. It wasn't on Blizzard campus. It was off-site at someone's place, like private owner. It was like, oh yeah, I think I saved that on an old hard drive. Like, well, let me go look for it kind of thing. And like they just like found like an old version. It's not even they have like enough of a client to get a good image of what 1.12 was like. But it doesn't sound like they had a perfect copy of 1.12 just lying around and they were like, oh, that's the reference client. Yeah, that matches. Perfect. But on the other hand, I think Burning Crusade, I assume they would have the clients for the patches. They would have each patch so they even said before 1.12 they don't have that. They don't know. They don't remember what it was like. They don't have all the numbers to make.
Did they say 1.12?
Yeah,
think, didn't they say 1.4 or something like that?
Did they say 1.4? Am I remembering wrong that they had a 1.4
I'm not entirely sure, but I seem to remember reading it might be 1.6, 1.5, I don't know, but I don't think it was 1.12 exactly.
Okay, I thought it was 1.12, and that's why they went with it, is because that's the only thing they had basically.
But I guess if they say so, we should believe that, I suppose.
Yeah, I gotta look
it feels a little bit weird, doesn't it?
Yeah,
a big company like Blizzard who don't have backups from their game.
Well, it's always changing constantly, and
I guess it's possible. But if a private server can find old data, then
you're right.
Blizzard must be able to.
And then the Burning Crusade client, I assume that they have copies of that they were getting their act together a little bit by then, and they have each patch, and they could get us back in there. So they could potentially, simulate patches and actually change values, or they could go the same route that they went with this. When they start us on the final patch, and then just leave stuff locked behind a time gate, which would be a mistake. But
yes,
people would play it still. So
it seems like I'm complaining a little bit about Classic, and I am in a way, because I think it could have been even better. But still, it's a really nice game, and then I'm really
that's
happy
true.
I
should say that too. That I'm enjoying my time playing Classic, and I haven't played a game like this since Classic, since Vanilla. Like I just still really, really enjoy this.
It's one of the good things about WoW in general, I feel, is it's super laid back. You can relax, play a few hours, play a whole day, play 30 minutes, and whatever you do, it always is some kind of progress you make, even if it's like only 2% experience you gain. You made some progress. If you got like 5 gold by doing a dungeon, didn't get an item, at least you got the 5 gold. So whatever you do, it progresses you, and there's no competitive side on this. And like I said in the beginning, I played so much competitive games like Crash Team Racing, Age of Mythology, and it's kind of nice to be able to play something else for a change, and just relax, play on my own pace. Don't have to be the highest ranking. Just do it as you please.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Okay, I think it's a great place to stop. I think we found a nice little bow tie to wrap Classic in, and I'm complaining a little bit, but I'm still having a great time.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Dunedain. I already forgot it. How do you say it?
Dunedain.
Dunedain. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
I can't even remember. 50 minutes.
Dunedain is fine. Everyone says Dunedain, so
No, you gotta get it right, because people call me Jahaman or J-Man or Jaman. It's just Shaman with a J. Come on, guys. It's really stupid, but it's really okay. Anyway, I almost said it again. Dunedain. Okay.
Dunedain.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Is there any where can people follow you? They've YouTube and
I don't know if you put things in the subscription or
sure.
I will give you the link then later, but you can find me on YouTube if you just type in YouTube search Dunedain. WoW, just put WoW behind it, because I'm still kind of a small channel.
Okay.
So if you just put Dunedain, then you will find some kind of music group or something. So Dunedain WoW, and you will get on my channel. I also have a Discord. I will just link it to you.
Sure.
The Discord it's mainly for the guild though, but I post my videos and stream announcements on the Discord too. So if you're interested, you can also join that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.